Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
And my name's James, aka FPL Drug.
Good to see you again, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, all good. What about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Busy day at work, but always fun to record, isn't it? So keeps you going on a Tuesday. Plenty to talk about. Obviously, we've had an action-packed weekend of football. I wanted to quickly touch on our predictions, obviously, from the last show, something a bit different that we did. We didn't do too great, to be honest, mate.
That doesn't surprise me with the state of my betting and predictions, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I've given up on betting this season at the moment. It's far too unpredictable for my liking. Sky are making a lot of money from these shots on target business. So I think Werner didn't get a shot on target this weekend, so they made another load of money. So, hey-ho. We've got 4 results for yourself that you got right, but you didn't get any correct scores. And then I got 4 results correct and 1 correct score, which came in at the end yesterday. Obviously, Wolves won, Southampton won. So I said I was happy with a draw. I was a bit pissed off, which we'll talk about later on, that we didn't get the win. But at the end of the day, I suppose it was probably the correct result. Right, let's jump straight into the game week then. Newcastle 0, Chelsea 2.
Yeah, great. Good performance from Chelsea. Obviously, Tammy Abraham scoring again. People laughing at that person that had Tammy Abraham in their team that was doing quite well, but doesn't seem to be that bad a decision, to be honest. Werner getting that assist, could have had more, to be honest. He missed quite a few chances. I'm sure you were frustrated at that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Yeah, it's irritating. Obviously, as a Werner owner, I think arguably he probably should have had 2 goals and an assist in this game. I thought Chelsea were completely dominant, just bossed Newcastle for long periods. Obviously, they got fortunate with the own goal from Penandes to kind of start them on their run. But 2-0 just seemed kind on Newcastle for this game, in my opinion. I thought it could have easily been 4-5, if anything. Just Chelsea were gunning for them at times, and Werner kind of ran riot. Even from the left, it was good to see him cutting centrally, which was something I was hoping would happen. I was a little bit worried with Pulisic and Havertz missing out, and fingers crossed they're back this weekend for the Spurs game, because I'm probably going to hold Werner. I think I've got other issues that I want to deal with.
I was going to say it's probably best to hold Werner. If I owned him, I would be holding him. I'm still not going to bring him in, but he does look good. He played well. He was just unlucky, just not very clinical. But the fact is, he's getting those chances. He's getting in those positions. I think the points are coming. I mean, you've got an assist there, but on another day, you'd be having 3 bonus points and maybe 2 goals and an assist, I think.
Yeah, easily. I think obviously with Pulisic and Havertz back, it depends positionally where Werner ends up. A lot of people, may consider that Werner goes straight back through the middle, but can you really drop Abraham? I mean, he's scoring every time he's given an opportunity. Will Lampard say, thanks, but you bench kid. Werner's going through the middle, and we'll have Pulisic reft and Havertz, Ziyech, those kind of players alongside him. I'm honestly not sure.
No, neither am I, to be honest. I mean, just because he's on the left-hand side doesn't mean he's not going to do anything. I mean, obviously you'd prefer him to be through the middle, but Chelsea are playing well and they're confident. So it's just, just wait and see how it plays out, to be honest.
Yeah. Obviously, Chelsea got a clean sheet. I think that could potentially be a rarity over the upcoming fixtures. Obviously, they play Spurs, Leicester, Everton, Wolves is their next 4. I think clean sheets might be trickier. So obviously for those like, ourselves, well, I think we both got Zuma, don't we? But
yeah, I'd feel more confident on Chilwell. Obviously, Zuma's a threat from corners, which we may or may not benefit from.
He could have scored this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that chance. So I guess when you look at it like that, then he's just as much a threat as Chilwell is, really. More obviously goals than assists, but Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried, but I think I'll still keep him and start him every week.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting rid, but maybe it isn't the time to bring them in for this run.
Oh no, yeah, I think you've missed the kind of key fixtures,
Yeah, agreed.
bringing in wise, but
Obviously, Newcastle were without Callum Wilson. It seems as though he'll be fit enough for this weekend, so their fortunes might change a little bit. But other than if you've got Wilson now, I don't think I'll be targeting any Newcastle players. So we can move on to what was maybe a surprise result for quite a few was Aston Villa 1, Brighton 2.
yeah, it was a bit of a surprise for me. Obviously, on Triple Villa, I was going into the game optimistic, but didn't quite go Villa's way. I think much to the credit of Brighton. Brighton were excellent, especially Lamptey. Obviously, got sent off, but prior to that, he was excellent. So much energy and amazing how forward he was getting as well, central as well as on the wing. He was coming in the inside. So really exciting to watch, and definitely one I consider for Sky once he's back. But FPL, to be honest, he looked really good.
Yeah, I think it was an unfortunate sending off. I think I saw on Twitter afterwards or on Instagram that he apologised. He looked so sad when he got sent off. I really felt sorry for him. But yeah, like you said, I thought Lamptey played well. I thought Welbeck was brilliant. It's great to see him playing Premier League football again. Solly March obviously got his goal, and I thought he played really well. And they kind of stifled Aston Villa at times. Villa struggled to break them down, which was surprising. For me, Villa arguably maybe could have won the game had was it Trezeguet? I think he missed 2, 3, 4 good chances, to be fair. And on another day, if someone like Grealish has got the chances that he's been landed with, then maybe they score a couple more. But yeah, it was a surprising result, and obviously Konsa was the one that got Villa's goal.
He did a good pick for Sky players. Obviously, I'm not sure how many people are on him in FPL. I think more on Mings or even Target more recently, but took his goal well. I think if you want a diff to Mings, then yeah, you could go for him, but I'd still probably go Mings.
Yeah, I was a bit frustrated with myself because I considered Konsa instead of Matt Target, but obviously I went Target because he's a bit cheaper. Yeah, so it was a bit frustrating to then see Konsa score, and I was but I wanted to keep a little bit of money back, to make potential transfers in the future. So that's why I went cheaper. It was just annoying that on the week I bring him in, Villa conceded twice. Obviously we had the penalty controversy. What did you make of it?
It's absolutely skipped my mind. You remind me.
So, obviously, it's the Solly March challenge on Trezeguet, and it's given as a pen, and then it's taken a VAR. It's looked that Solly March gets a shin to the ball before basically.
I thought when it's happening live, it was a pen, and then after the review, I thought it should be a pen. So I was very surprised to see it rescinded.
Yeah, I had a bit of a debate with people on Twitter, and I don't normally get into debates, but I was adamant it was a pen, and I can see where people are coming from because Trezeguet goes down easily. He's not swiped, he's hit on the shin, and he falls over. But how you're now basically counting that a player can clip a football with their shin, or a part of them, and still take a man, and because of that, it's not given as a penalty now. Because we've seen it a couple of times. Obviously, we had the foul on Højbjerg that was given as a red, I think it was originally, and then it was rescinded because VAR said that he got the player making the challenge got some studs to the ball. Like, we're now talking about the finest of margins that they don't necessarily mean. That's the frustrating element for me.
Well, it wasn't clear and obvious. I don't understand how that's been even reviewed because it wasn't a clear decision, like a clear mistake from the referee. So VAR are like pulling him to have a look at it. And I was quite surprised to see him overrule himself based on watching it back. I didn't really expect that.
Yeah, I don't often like or agree with what Peter Walton says on BT Sport, as the referee pundit that they've got. But he said that exact same thing. He's like, well, I don't understand why these are being called back, because the idea of VAR is to review clear and obvious errors. And they're not clear and obvious, so why are they suddenly telling, the referee to go and review it again? Because as soon as they do that, it's almost deemed as if we're expected to overturn a decision. So
Yeah,
it just feels wrong.
exactly. It's like them just kind of dictating as to what should happen. Like, unless it's clear and obvious, they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, agreed. And obviously the other thing that came out of this game was the very early injury to Ross Barkley, which I think is frustrating and unfortunate for quite a few owners. Whether that changes things.
Hindu Monkey captained him, and
did. Yeah, really felt for him, because I thought it was a brilliant captaincy, and we've seen quite a few Grealish captaincies. Obviously, Ellie, my fiance, captain Grealish this week, and to be fair, I couldn't argue with it. I thought it was a good option, but they've been unfortunate there. It would just be interesting to see how the Barkley injury affects Grealish for the next few games. Whether, Traore, I was quite impressed.
Maybe not good news for that injury. And yeah, Traore impressed me, particularly in the first half.
Yeah.
Played very well. And I was thinking, ooh, could I put him in my team? Like, obviously not, because I've just moved on to Grealish. I've had McGinn. I don't want to dick about with any more Villa midfielders.
That's understandable.
But yeah, he looked pretty good.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to what was believed to be a Mourinho tactical masterclass in Spurs 2, Man City 0.
Now, I don't want to say I saw it coming, but I saw Son's return coming. That's why I held Son and Kane. I thought one, if not both of them, would return. Both of them returned, so I was quite happy with how this played out. I expected maybe a more even game, so maybe Spurs and City to be in it, rather than just a Spurs 2-0 result. But I'll take it all day long. Very happy with people are now looking at bringing Son back in. So that seems a bit crazy when you think about it. Everyone's saying, how can we get Son out of our team? Who should we upgrade him to? Obviously, those who went for Bruno, then that's a good decision. But if you've moved him on for someone else, then perhaps you might regret it.
Yeah, I took Son out this week.
I forgot you did it.
I kept Kane for that reason, because I think Kane is pivotal to what they do. And I thought Kane would maybe be the one, that could get the goal against City. We spoke about it on the last pod, and we both kind of suggested that Spurs might set up a little bit more defensively to try and deal with Pep and obviously Man City. And they kind of did, Man City were dominant on stats. They had so many shots. De Bruyne, had 3 or 4 shots. At one point, he was just taking pot shots, and I think it's because he was a bit pissed off, to be honest. But defensively, Spurs were exceptional. And then they grabbed the 2 goals that they got and took them really well. Although, I think Ederson is at fault for both of them.
Yeah, I think he could have done better, to be honest. But he sort of charged off his line, didn't he? He's got a tendency to do that, and I don't think it was the right call.
No, and I'm on a group chat with a couple of Man City fans, and it's starting to get noticed by Man City fans across the board that Ederson makes these errors. And yeah, he's a brilliant goalkeeper, but when it comes to, kind of judging these one-on-one decisions, he charges. And I mean, he's been beaten by Son through his legs. And Son's not even in the 18-yard box. So, and it wasn't even the strongest of finishes. It kind of, as soon as it goes through his legs, it's rolling in. It's not like Son smashed it.
Yeah, he made up Son's mind for him, to be honest. When you go that early, it's like, right, okay, he's coming out. Yeah. So the striker knows what they're doing. Whereas if he holds back a little bit, that's when the nervousness comes in for the striker. Yep. So
no, agreed. I playing on a Sunday, I hate one-on-ones when the keeper stays on his line. You just, don't know what to do. But if they charge out, you go one way or the other and you take it around them. And obviously Son just gambled even before that and hit it through. Obviously Spurs fixtures we've spoken about before. They've got quite a tough run, but as proven, that they can go to these teams and get the win. Mourinho has always been a good tactical manager, I suppose. Man City, on the other hand, their fixtures kind of turn now, and even though we've not seen the results that we've expected, they do play Burnley, Fulham, West Brom, Saints, Newcastle in their next 6. I'm expecting
It's a
them
very
to
good
get
point.
points.
Yeah, KDB in particular, I think, is the one I'd go for. It's the safest option to bring in from City, I'd say, attacking wise. I've seen a lot of people going on Cancelo defensively, but which also is a good decision, I'd say. But yeah, I'm expecting KDB returns. I'm expecting a double-digit haul very soon.
Yeah, no, he's got it in him, doesn't he? And I've seen online today, obviously, we've got the Champions League this week. But De Bruyne hasn't travelled with the Man City squad.
Get in there.
It's been confirmed that he's been rested for the game. So, for me, I think if I don't bring in Vardy this weekend, which we'll touch on, KDB gets the captaincy for me. He gets a week's rest, doesn't have to travel with a squad. There's no chance of injury. Hopefully, that means he's fit and firing for the weekend.
Yeah. Don't worry about bringing in Vardy, mate. It's not worth it. You stick with KDB.
Right, let's move on to the fourth game then. And it was Man United 1, West Brom 0, in a game that people expected so much from, but actually probably ended in controversy.
Yeah, as a non-Bruno owner, I was obviously fuming. I was between bringing in KDB and Bruno this week. I went for the longer-term decision, which was KDB. If I was just going to do this week, Bruno all day long, and then I did contemplate doing that and then moving him to KDB the following week, but then I didn't want to use up my transfers on that particular set of moves. So I didn't. I went with KDB, which I think will pay off in the long term. But congratulations to the Bruno owners. Pens count the same as normal goals. Should it have been a pen is debatable. There's obviously potential foul in the build-up, and then the pen was obviously saved and then retaken. Adds to the fury as a non-owner when you're watching it. You go from joy to absolute despair, shouting at the TV.
It was all a bit of a mess, really, wasn't it? Like
it was.
It's just, and even before that, West Brom should have had a pen, and then obviously that was overturned. And then you go down the other end, and you obviously Man United get the pen. Like you said, Johnson saves it. Even as a Bruno owner, I was jubilant because obviously I've got Johnson in goal. And I thought, well, I've benefited that way. I don't care, that Bruno's got it. It's pulled back. And then Bruno then slots it home for the second time. And to be fair, Johnson came off his line again in the steals and the replays. So it might have even been retaken for a third time. And we might have saw then Johnson got booked because it's twice. Who knows? But yeah, I think I saw a lot of bitterness across the Twitter community about Bruno. But that's the reason we bring him in, is we know he takes the pens for Man United. And to be fair, watching the game, he could have easily had another couple of assists. Martial's missed 2 glorious chances that Johnson saved brilliantly. And I mean, Johnson's made 6 saves in the game, and West Brom put in, I lost count of the amount of blocks that they put in. So as well as West Brom played, I'm not sure it was a 1-0 game.
That's a fair point. I'd say that. Martial really should have put some of his chances away. Maybe he's a bit low on confidence. Not sure what it is, but he's not hit the ground running like I thought he would.
No, obviously, I started with the bastard, and then he eventually got sent off against Spurs, and we've not seen him since. So we'll have to wait and see. But other than Bruno, I think Rashford could potentially be a good option to target maybe for their upcoming fixtures. Defensively, I wouldn't go near them at the moment. I still think, they're a bit dodgy. I'm not the biggest fan of Maguire and Lindelof is that centre-back pairing. And obviously, we've now seen Tellez come in for Shaw because Shaw's injured. Just don't go near them. Right, starting with the Sunday game, and obviously we've seen it on BBC. Brilliant to see it on kind of broadcast or English television. Would be Fulham 2, Everton 3, and somewhat surprising.
Yeah, great game of football. One that I thought was going to be a foregone conclusion after the first half.
First
Everton
45 seconds, mate.
tearing them to pieces. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, Fulham, I don't know what happened there, switched off, but Calvert-Lewin stabs it in. I obviously celebrate wildly because he's my captain.
Did well there.
Yeah, oh, beautiful. Very happy with that. One of the things that went right this week. But yeah, excellent display from Everton in the first half, and for the majority of the second half. But then they started to fall away. Fulham started to grow into the game, get a bit more confident. Penn misses aside. They played pretty well in the second half. Looked like a decent team. So I think Scotty Parker will get some confidence from that. It's a shame, obviously, it's still 0 points on the board from the game, but some positives for them.
Yeah, I think that's the worry, is that it's looking like Fulham are going to have to score more than the opponent. And when we say that, obviously that's an obvious for a win. But what I'm referring to is I think they're going to have to score 2 or 3 each game to potentially even get a point in the way that they're playing. Defensively, they were all over the place in the first half in particular. I genuinely thought that Everton were going to come out in the second half, carry on the same way. And if Fulham were as poor as they were, I had a feeling it was going to be 5 or 6 by the end of the game. So, yeah, like you said, Fulham pulled it back. And I thought some of the substitutes changed that a little bit. Not sure why they started with Mitrovic and Loftus-Cheek on the bench. But as soon as they brought them on, kind of Fulham had a bit more impotence going forward and a bit more drive. And obviously we know how good Loftus-Cheek is as a player. So when he came on, he started to kind of command the ball. Mitrovic is obviously going to be a force up top and he's going to worry defenders. And then it gave Lookman a bit more space to start running. Whereas I think in the first half, every time he got the ball, he turned away and then played it back. But yeah, it's his drive that then comes to give Loftus-Cheek, obviously, his goal. So on another day, I think in the last 10 minutes, Fulham could have even grabbed a point, to be honest.
I think so. Very strong presence from Loftus-Cheek on the pitch. I think you've got to be starting him. He looked great when he came on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there before. But, yeah, I think we should expect to see Loftus-Cheek starting. Second game of the day was Sheffield United 0, West Ham 1. And something that we both thought could be a potential. Obviously, Sheffield United are a tricky team to break down, and West Ham were without Antonio. So it was never going to be the most exciting game in the world.
No, it wasn't. I think I did mention that I thought Haller would score.
You did, yeah.
And he did, which was good to see for West Ham. Kufal clean sheet for myself. And I didn't actually watch the game, but I was checking to see that clean sheet was intact every 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, he played well.
Thankfully it was. They played well?
Yeah, he played well. He could have had a goal. It was a really good save from Ramsdale to stop Kufal, to be fair. I've got Kufal on my Sky team, but I know that you've got him in FPL. So I was sweating a little bit when I saw that. But yeah, I think West Ham got the job done. I am so worried. I mean, we keep talking about it, but I'm really worried about Sheffield United this season. They've scored 4 goals this season in total. And I can't see them finding a way to change that at the moment. If it carries on in that way, that they're going down, surely.
Yeah, I think West Ham are a good team, but I think there's only so many games you can keep losing and not picking up points before you start to worry. I think maybe Wilders could be a bit stubborn, based on his interviews anyway.
Yeah.
Might need to change the system a little bit depending on the teams they play. Maybe not be so reluctant to persist with the same sort of tactics.
Exactly. I think a change of system is what they're going to have to go. And they've got West Brom, this weekend, and that's a massive game for them now. But after that, they then play Leicester, Saints, Man United. They've got a horrible run just after Christmas of going Tottenham, Man United, Man City, Chelsea. Like the points, looking at the fixtures, are difficult to come by. So if they don't get 3 points against West Brom, then, they're really struggling.
Yeah, I was going to say, the pressure's going to really be on if they don't get the points from that game. I mean, obviously, with COVID, you don't have the same impact with the fans. Obviously, the fans, we burn them off and so on. You don't get that. You don't get people You get like some guy in Sheffield throwing his beer at the screen, but it's not gonna come through
Exactly.
the TV.
And on the opposite way, like they've not got the fans kind of roaring them on. So if it is, 0-0, they haven't got that kind of passion in the stands to maybe drive someone like Lundstrom on, to get a winner. And we saw that last season, McGoldrick, Lundstrom, they were popping in with like late goals that got them points. And we've not seen that at all this season yet. The other point was obviously Antonio missed out again, but we believe it was probably precautionary because they wanted to make sure he was 100% fit for this weekend. Obviously, hold those transfers for now until we get the press conferences on Friday, but I think Antonio will be back. Third game of the Sunday, and I was a little bit disappointed, to be fair. Leeds 0, Arsenal 0. Wasn't really the result that I thought the game deserved. Leeds were dominant at times. Arsenal still look like the team that are struggling to break people down. Leeds had so many chances. I mean, I think they hit the woodwork 2 or 3 times. Bamford had a couple of very good chances. But as soon as Pepe, stupidly got sent off, he was a fucking idiot. He just got drawn in, and ends up going in for the headbutt. The Leeds chap, can't remember his name, it might have been Alioski, kind of draws him in, pulls away a bit, so there's obviously he's not going in, and then Pepe just puts a dead forward. Alioski goes down like a sack of potatoes, but you're going to because it's a headbutt at the end of the day, and rightly so. Arteta was furious, but I was a bit disappointed that Leeds didn't take advantage of that. And I just didn't think that this was ever going to be a 0-0 game.
No, I didn't expect it to be. I can't remember if I said 2-1 to Arsenal, but maybe I said Leeds were going to win. I can't quite remember.
You did, yeah. You went 2-1 Leeds and I went 3-1 Leeds.
Yeah, had they maybe pushed on with after Pepe got sent off, that might have happened. But yeah, did not see a 0-0 coming.
No, but just Arsenal. Obviously, we spoke about the Aubameyang issue. They did eventually put Aubameyang through the middle, and it still hasn't solved their problems. So it does show that maybe it runs a little bit deeper than what we thought. All doesn't seem well at Arsenal at the moment. Just the way Arteta's comments were, he was disappointed. We had the issue of the Ceballos-David Luiz clash in training, and then that got leaked. And Arteta came out and said that whoever was responsible, would be dealt with. So he clearly knows that information's getting out of the club that he doesn't want, and it's not the first time we've seen, a bust up with Ceballos. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but things are going to have to change if Arsenal are going to improve.
I think so. Sounds like a few clashing egos.
Might just be. Right. Final game on the Sunday, and one that I didn't actually expect was Liverpool 3, Leicester 0.
I didn't expect a 12-point display from Robertson, I'll tell you that much.
I know.
Was it 12? I think he ended
12 points,
on. Yeah, that one hurt as a non-owner. Obviously, Jota, a good pick for people that actually brought him in.
Yeah, very much so. Looks a really good player, doesn't he? And it's something Liverpool, like we've mentioned before, but it's something that I think they've been missing for the past couple of seasons. Obviously, that kind of backup. He's not even a backup anymore, is he? He's starting alongside.
First choice.
Yeah.
I don't see Firmino making it back into the team anytime soon.
No, so yeah, they're playing with the 4, aren't they? So that's what they did 2 games ago. And yeah, like you said, we saw previously, Firmino was the first one to come off in that game where all 4 played. See, Salah missed out because of COVID. We might see, a different setup this weekend, but I still wouldn't be surprised to see all 4 play because you can't drop Jota. I know they've got Champions League. We might see some rotation, but he's just on form, and he's a different player to what they've got.
Yeah, so sharp at the moment. I think he's undroppable and someone to look at bringing in potentially for so cheap for a Liverpool asset. Basically, what people thought Phil Foden would be is what Jota's doing.
Exactly, and then Jota's the one that's getting the returns. So if you wanted to have that gamble kind of in there and that cheaper alternative, then yeah, he's one that I wouldn't hesitate to jump on. And obviously, you touched on the Robertson 12-point hole. Surprisingly, all it took was for Liverpool to have a defensive injury crisis, for Liverpool to keep a clean sheet, and one of their fullbacks get some returns. So that's FPL for you, really, isn't it?
It certainly is.
We also saw Schmeichel save. He made 9 saves. I hadn't even realised that. I knew he made a few, but 9 FPL saves. So it could have been a lot worse for Leicester. Going forward, I didn't think Leicester were that great, to be honest. Vardy seemed quite isolated. Barnes ended up getting taken off in the second half. Didn't think he had much of an impact. It was one of those games I thought Leicester would give them a bit more, and they really didn't, to be honest.
Yeah, sounds a bit flat, but ultimately, I think people with Leicester assets are looking at that Fulham fixture. They're not too worried about this performance.
No, you don't.
So, yeah, I'd be holding. Obviously, you wouldn't take him out before Fulham.
God, no, definitely not. And the other thing was on the cameras we saw when Vardy was talking to Klopp, he was limping, but we believe that that's an injury that Vardy's got and manages himself anyway. And when it flares up, I think he has a couple of days off away from training and then goes back. So the club are obviously aware of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's just the way he tends to walk as well.
Well, yeah, walks like a hard man.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's move on to the Monday night fixtures. And we obviously had Burnley 1, Crystal Palace 0, and the early news that Zaha missed out thanks to COVID.
Yeah, that Zaha mission hurt me. I was looking forward to that Monday night performance away at Burnley, but not to be. So I had Kilman coming in for Wolves. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, shame to see Zaha miss out.
Yeah, it caused a lot of panic for Sky as well, because I had planned to bring Zaha in for the Monday and then obviously this Friday's coverage. So I ended up bringing in PVA just in case, I don't want to miss out. But yeah, to see that Zaha news was quite frustrating. But it then did mean that, Burnley finally got a clean sheet and a win. And Pope made 5 saves, got man of the match. I thought he was exceptional. It's the Pope that we got used to seeing towards the end of last season. And then Chris Wood got his goal.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up nicely there. I think particularly with Pope, if they get a good run of fixtures, would you potentially consider? Well, I guess he's 5.5 now. That's the only thing.
That's the issue, yeah. I think Pope is still an exceptional keeper. And on days like this, he proves that, getting a hole for a goalkeeper. But yeah, it's his price increase that puts you off. The other player I want to mention, and they made the tactical change this week, dropped Barnes, and then they brought back in Jay Rodriguez. And I thought Rodriguez had a brilliant game. He was given, obviously, Sky's man of the match by the pundits that day. Got the assist for Wood. And yeah, I thought he caused Palace a host of problems and just looked really sharp. So we might see J-Rod maybe getting a bit more game time moving forward, hopefully. It's good to see, as he's an ex-Saint and always appreciated him as a player. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, I want to see him do well.
Exactly. Right, final game of the season. Final game of the week. And it was Wolves 1, Saints 1.
A rather unexpected, from my point of view, performance from Saints. I think we played very well. Was obviously very sharp for his goal. Put it in nicely. Ball came across. But he gets criticised for being clinical, but he did put that one away. Obviously, has missed other chances.
That you touch on that point there. That was the frustration. Is obviously he puts that one away, but then when he's 1-1 to make it 2-0, and I thought that would have changed the game. Puts that wide, and that's when my frustration turned, because we had played so well in the first half, and we all know that Wolves take a while to grow into a game. And I thought, yeah, we were dominant for periods. But man of the match, and rightly so in my opinion, was McCarthy, because he was exceptional. He made so many good saves. He got 8 saves in this game. I thought, if it wasn't for him, Wolves could have easily, ended up winning this game 3-1 maybe. So in some ways, we got a little bit fortunate to get a point, but I thought it was deserved, because when we did go forward, I thought we played well. And obviously defensively, Vestergaard and Bertrand actually managed to handle Traore quite well, which was my original worry at this game.
Yeah, I didn't expect those two to cope with him at all, to be honest. When you see like much lesser players tear them to pieces, maybe not Vestergaard recently, but they have been known to just get absolutely done. I mean, we were getting done with balls over the top time and time again at the start of the season. Thankfully, we seem to have cut that out a little bit. Maybe a better team might be able to still do that to us, but I think I'm quite happy with our performance with McCarthy. Fantastic performance. Didn't have any of those saves when I had him in my team, but that's FPL for you, isn't it?
100%. Like you said about the tougher test, we've got Man United this weekend. And I think that'll be the test that we potentially need to see if we've learnt the lessons from, the Tottenham game, the Chelsea game, of teams getting in behind. So hopefully we see a bit more resolute and take it to United, because I think we can.
Yeah, hopefully Romeo with 2-foot Bruno Penandes in the first minute. So that's what I need.
Right, well, whilst we've discussed the FPL review, shall we have a quick look at our teams and how we got on? I'll let you talk about your team first, seeing as you had the better of the weeks.
Yeah, so here's my team on screen for those of you on YouTube. I'll talk it through for you on the podcast. So 60 points, just above average, but I did take a -4 to bring in Grealish and De Bruyne. A clean sheet from Kufau and a clean sheet from Zuma were the highlights in my defence. 0 from Matty Target and 1 from Martinez and 1 from Grealish. It's not great for 3 players, 2 points.
No.
The bulk of my points were thanks to my DCL captaincy. Had I not done that, I think I'd have been in trouble. Say if I went with a De Bruyne captaincy, I'd have quite easily screwed myself. But thankfully, DCL and Son bringing home the bacon for me, and a not too bad 60 points with a small red arrow.
Yeah, just as well you didn't go Grealish, because we saw quite a lot of people go Grealish, didn't we?
We certainly did.
My game week, on the other hand, I took a -8 just to solve a few issues. So I got 62 points, which I was, relatively happy with. But then when you take the -8 into consideration, it's only 54. I've got Johnson in goal. So, it could have been that pen save. That could have boosted his points. I expect he probably would have got 3 bonus for making the pen save, plus the 5 for doing it. That it's an 8-9 point swing. So that could have been a big difference. Got Zuma and Walker-Peters. They got 6 and 3 between them. And obviously Matty Target, frustratingly, only got 0. Bruno, brought him in this week for captaincy. I was just glad that he got that 1 goal. It was a little bit frustrating. Obviously, he didn't get any more, but I can't kind of moan too much about 22 points from a captain. Obviously, you captained DCL, and that was rightly the better of the 2 options, but only by 4 points. So De Bruyne, Podence and Grealish only got 5 points between them, which was a frustration. But then, my front 3 did pretty well. Werner, Kane, both got assists, and then DCL obviously got his haul. Annoyingly, I've got Luke Ayling sat on the bench with 6 points from that Arsenal game rather than Matt Target, so that could have been another 6-point swing, but it's tricky. Have you got any views on what you're going to do this weekend in FPL?
No. To put it simply.
To be fair,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think it's maybe a bit too early to even consider certain options, because obviously we've got Champions League and Europa League this week. And then it's still the COVID problem. We're not hearing about players missing out until last minute. So I'm potentially going to move to Vardy, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Having Kane and Werner in the same game is a problem. I'm not sure I really want them both for that fixture, but at the same time, who knows? It could be a 3-3 and they could both be heavily involved. So I need to weigh up the pros and cons, but it is Fulham. And that is on my mind, that if I was to bring in Vardy, he'd get the captaincy. Whereas if I don't, it's going to be probably KDB against Burnley. So I've got a few things to consider really, but my advice to obviously those playing FPL is don't make too early a move. The reason is what we've just said, and we get Thursday and Friday to kind of at least hear a little bit from the managers. I also believe it's obviously it's a Friday deadline this week with the Newcastle Palace game being the 8 o'clock kickoff this Friday. So we're going to have a deadline of 6:30.
Yeah, worth mentioning. Could easily forget that.
Oh, yeah. Let's jump onto Sky then. Seeing as I'm sharing my screen for those on YouTube, I'll go first. And in Sky this week, I had what I think is quite a good week. I got 98 points in my first team and 80 points in my second. The bulk of those points in my first team, to be fair, were from the 2 captaincy decisions of Bruno and DCL getting 24 and 36 points apiece. So it just highlights that if you manage to nail a captaincy in Sky, just how much you can benefit. And obviously the fact that you can go from one captaincy to another across game days makes a huge difference. And that's one of the elements I'm really enjoying, obviously, is the planning side of things. How did you get on?
So here's my team. 85 points on my worser team, team 1, 29k. Decent. I forgot to set my captains, so I had Son in this team and Kane in the other, which didn't turn out as bad as I thought it was going to be. I realised 2 minutes after the deadline at like 12:32. Obviously, I'd have gone Penandes, probably in both. I think actually no, Penandes is only in one team, but I'd have gone Penandes in one, and I think maybe would have gone Zuma in the other. Yes. But nevertheless, it didn't affect me too much. I nailed Calvert-Lewin captaincy in both teams, and I'm relatively happy with 85 points in team 1 and 88 in team 2. Team 2, you've got Zuma on 10, Gabriel on 7, Dallas on 6, 36 for DCL captain, Kane captain on 14, a mediocre midfield of De Bruyne, Barnes and Grealish. But hopefully Harvey Barnes will repay me next game. I'm not feeling great about Barnes. If this was FPL, I'd be fired straight out of my team, but not for Fulham though. He wouldn't even be in there. He isn't. But yeah, Vardy and Barnes, I'm looking forward to next week for this team against Fulham.
Yeah, I think in the Sky game this week, if you had DCL and you captained him, you've had a really good week, and obviously we've both, I think, got pretty decent points. Predominantly from himself, to be fair. And I was a bit gutted for you when you text me. I think it was like 25-1 that you text saying that I've missed the captaincy. But at least thankfully, obviously, you got the returns from the 2 Spurs boys, Kane and Son. So it's not like you captain Grealish for a 1-pointer. You did get 14 points, I think, was for both of them. So you've not missed out on too much. Are either of your teams still in the cup?
No, both out.
My worst team, which got the 80 points, is still in it. So I'm kind of backing that team to do well in the cup. I'm not taking crazy transfers for it. I think I've got 8 transfers left. No, I've only used 8 transfers in both of my teams. But it's just funny to see some of the teams I'm coming up against. Like the guy in the cup this week, he scored 34 points. So I'm questioning how the fuck he even got to this stage to then if he's got a team that clearly didn't have the players that, did well. So that was quite amusing to see. The other thing, just to quickly touch on in Sky, is the fact that we're really hoping, and it's rumoured and everyone's talking about it, that we're due the fixtures this week. And if we get those fixtures, then we should be able to plan a bit more long-term, like December, potentially even into January. And that's going to be massive for the amount of games that we've got coming. We've got midweek games to come as well. So planning those captaincies, I think, is going to be key. So keep an eye, guys, that hopefully by Friday we'll get those fixtures. Right.
A big part of the Sky game, especially for me. So, yeah, really do need those fixtures.
Massively. And then we might as well jump straight onto it. So I see if you've got it on the screen there as ChampMan, and another really enjoyable week.
I just wanted to show off my Ian Hart haul, to be honest. I got it up there quickly. We'll gloss over the John Terry performance.
Yeah.
Obviously sent off in the first half.
You'll get used to that in ChampMan, mate. Honestly,
Absolute
the
bullshit.
amount of fucking red cards you get in this game is ridiculous. And as soon as it came up red for Chelsea, I knew straight away it was going to be John Terry.
Yeah, he may well be leaving my team now alongside Dion Dublin. I've got the 2 free transfers. Give me a message if you'd like make any suggestions with my team. Those of you listening, I've got Given, Al-Jafri, Terry, Hart, and Tome at the back. Holland, Kuehl, and Madison in midfield, and Dublin, Van Nistelrooy, and Core up front.
And who's on your bench?
And on my bench is, I have literally no idea. There we go. Kylie, Beckham, Gerard, and Ashley Cole. Yeah, so obviously a very good bench. Due to the blanks.
Players that missed out because of the blanks. Yeah, I was about to say, all you need to do, mate, is scroll down and then you'll see who's on your bench.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it wouldn't show me. All I had to do was scroll down. But yeah. There we go.
We've had the news that Kuehl misses out. No, not Kuehl. Hart misses out this week alongside, I believe it's Bowyer and Woodgate. So that's a bit of a concern. Obviously, you're going to have to deal with the Ian Hart problem there, which I'm kind of glad by because I wasn't intending on bringing him in this week. I'm not a huge fan of Leeds' fixture this week, but inevitably he would have got another hole. So hopefully it's something that I don't have to deal with. For me, it was a frustrating week. I only got 44 points, and it was really annoying because I took the -4 to bring in Viduka. On paper, it looked a stalwart. Last season in this kind of fixture, he was getting 2 or 3 each time. And even in the sim data, across the board, Viduka was performing really well. So I think it was the best captaincy option. We just best the sim at the end of the day. It didn't go our way, and I only got 6 points for him. So that was the annoying thing. Other than that, having Emerson Tome on my bench with 4 points, whilst John Terry fucks up and ends up on a -3, that was a bit of a piss take. But I can't really complain. It's just the way that the sim goes sometimes, to be honest. And I think I'm set up really well for the week coming, to be honest. I've got all home fixtures. I'm even, I've got Wally and Tome at the moment on my bench, and they've got home fixtures. So fingers crossed the week turns, because I think that's the home ties in this game we've noticed already. And, hopefully you've started to realise as a newbie that the home ties are ones to really target. And if you can get a bulk of those in for any given game week, you're potentially looking at a massive haul.
I'm very jealous of, that team you've got up there in terms of home ties. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
Especially the triple United spine of Van Nistelrooy, Beckham and Silvestre. I think it's a very good call to have in your team.
Yeah. And I want to quickly touch on it because we forgot last week, which was my bad. But the Season Keepers community team is doing very well. It's ahead of both of us in the league at the moment. It got 66 points last week. Obviously, we're not allowing transfers unless there's an injury. So the fact it's doing so well is brilliant because you can't specifically target fixtures. But yeah, obviously, because it's got the likes of Rude, Hart, Sylvestre, Petgov, Whelan, Beckham, it's doing really well. It's 66 points and it is up to 124th. So keep an eye out, guys, for the tweet that we give this week for potential captaincy. And obviously those bench options, but that's just something I wanted to touch on. The other thing I want to mention in terms of ChampMan is there's some brilliant stuff going around from CM Scout and from Craig Kemp and a few other guys that are simming. And there's a few points to maybe note on the pod that I thought is worth mentioning. That the likes of Tottenham, Middlesbrough, Man United, Bolton all seem to score really well on sim data for the upcoming games. So maybe those 4 teams are ones to keep an eye on and to potentially target, for captaincies or if you're looking to make transfers. And the teams that seem to score the least amount of goals, you're looking at Newcastle, Leicester, Charlton, and even Arsenal against Chelsea. So if you're looking for potential clean sheets, maybe targeting the games against those away teams might be good ways to go. Right. We've got an absolute ton of questions, so I think we should jump straight into them, mate. First things first, from the master of ChampMan, is Luke Disable. Have you learned anything in ChampMan this season that you didn't know from last season? For me, it's that Mark Viduka can flop at home. Is amusing as that sounds, it was just a bit frustrating. I'm not bitter at all, but in all seriousness, I think playing again this season, I'm learning slowly to ignore the last, because obviously we've got the precedent of last season, but I need to accept it's a completely different sim, and maybe performances don't always go the way that we believed from last season. So for me, that's probably the biggest takeaway at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, past performance is not always a good indicator of future performance. Everything is obviously new for me, so there's nothing really that I can compare it to from last season. But there's a lot to learn, and I'm learning it quickly thanks to all the great content that people are putting out there. So I look forward to getting a feel for this season.
Oh, there's so much, like you said, so much good content. There's people simming games. Obviously, you've got the Man on FPL podcast. They're covering a lot of ChampMan. I think they're even doing the ChampMan special next week, covering it entirely. So, yeah, there's brilliant content out there. Second question in from Steve Bird. Good to see you again, mate. If you could put any present Saints player in a team for your time whilst watching them, which player would it be and what team? For me, I think it's an obvious one. It would be Danny Ings. I mean, if we had him for that period of Europa League and playing really well, I think it was between 2013 and 2017. When we had the likes of Pella, Mane, we were relying on Jay Rodriguez and Charlie Austin as partners for some of these players. If we could have had Danny Ings alongside them, I think we would potentially have progressed further in Europe, maybe even challenged further up the league. I mean, our positions in the league for those 3-4 years was 8th, 7th, 6th, and 8th. So, we might have even pushed further up if we had a second goal scorer there.
100%. I think I agree with Matt. Like, Danny Ings and that team in the Europa League, I think we would have made it through the group stage. We wouldn't have just missed out like we did.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
Had easily enough to turn over the likes of Beersheva from Israel. Won that game maybe in Inter Milan that we lost 1-0. Yep. I think Danny Ings would have given us the edge.
Yeah, it was something we were always missing and we were always crying out for, wasn't it? Now that we've got potentially 2-3 goal scorers, it's brilliant to see. We've got a return from the ever-present Ronnerid9, who has been not so ever-present recently.
Good to have you back.
Very good. Should I hold Viduka? Should I hold a Viduka or not? I need to raise $1 million for Selakovic, and taking him out is a route to doing it. Not sure who to bring in. Boksic, Rebrov are on my radar. I'm going nowhere near Fowler, as I've been burnt before. For me, I'm taking a -4. I'm taking out Viduka and probably Matty Holland, and bringing in Boksic and Selakovic. The sim date seems to highlight, obviously, those two players doing quite well. Like I've mentioned, the teams that they play for seem to score quite highly this week. So I'm intending on attacking those fixtures. And very much like yourself, I wouldn't go near Fowler because I know what you're talking about from last season. And I probably played the same moves and got burnt just as badly, mate.
Yeah, I think personally, providing you already own Ruud van Nistelrooy, I'd hold him. I'd say, what idiot would bring him in for a -4 and then take him out for a -4 week?
You mean Viduka, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dear. That's fair, but no, I think you should attack the fixtures, which is why I went with the Viduka, like I've said. But swings and roundabouts, mate. Swings and roundabouts. You'll see.
It is. When I said week, I meant wink. I don't know why I said that.
So we just mentioned them now, but we've got a question in from the Man on FPL podcast. So cheers, guys. Quite an interesting one when I saw this as well. I'm looking forward to giving my answer. Is you can each invite 3 living celebrities for dinner and 1 can stay the night. Who are you inviting and why? I'll let you go first.
Right. But Barack Obama and Alan Shearer, the first 2 that won't be staying the night. As much as I'd love Barack and Alan to stay, there's just no room on the airbed for them. Barack Obama it'd just be great to hear some of his stories and from what it was like leading the US. Was obviously a very interesting character to speak to. Shearer, I grew up idolising as a Newcastle fan as a boy. My favourite player. I fell in love watching him for England in like the '98 World Cup, and yeah, just a quality player that I'd love to just recount some of those old Newcastle stories from back in the day before I became a Saints fan. When I was about
also, you could have him for round for tea, and you could keep an eye on the ChampMan stream together, see if you can get a couple of goals.
Exactly. We can tell him to pull his finger out and perform, get set up Corty for a few in my team.
Yeah.
And then stay in the night. It's got to be Scarlett Johansson, I think.
Decent shout.
Just like a culture, obviously.
For me, I'd probably want Jack Whitehall and Michael McIntyre as the two chaps round. Yeah, they're probably my two favourite comedians, and they'd set up the night really well. Good laugh. I know Jack Whitehall is actually quite a dab hand in the kitchen as well. So I think he's got he's got an Instagram page now called Food Sluts, which is fucking hilarious. But he's actually set up a kind of pop-up restaurant with a couple of chefs, and the food looks incredible. So he occasionally does a dish at home. So I'd have him round. Michael McIntyre can, tell the jokes. And for me, it has to be Jennifer Lawrence. She'll be staying the night. I mean, don't tell the missus. She knows that she's my 10 out of 10 celebrity crush, but don't let her know she's staying around. It's, between us, yeah?
Good stuff.
Right. We got another question in from Carl JB. Are Blackburn's assets going under the radar for the double game week? 2 home games, and we know what that means in ChampMan. To be fair, I think so. I think defensively, I'm not a massive fan of Blackburn. But I do think Matt Jansen could be one to target. I think he could perform really well in the 2 home games. He's priced at 10 million for a reason. I think it's 10 million. So he could be a really useful punt. And obviously, we've got the likes of, David Dunn, Damien Duff. I think they could be maybe decent midfield options around the 7 million mark if you wanted to go that way.
Yeah, I think other than the options that Matt's mentioned, I was looking at Berg at the start of the season. Good stats from last season. I think if you're looking for a value defensive pick, then I'd go Berg.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, yeah, if you're looking for a value, then might be worth bringing in one at 4.5. For the double, I think I'm probably targeting Liverpool there. But some people might go Blackburn as a bit of a differential. We got a question in from Craig Kemp, who's another one that's doing some really useful stuff behind the scenes with sim data, and he's also got his little 20-minute podcasts, which are well worth a listen for anyone that's looking to have a bit of a refresh or a bit of insight before the game week. Is Thierry Henry in your thoughts for the coming weeks? I'll let you go first.
No, based on what I've seen so far and what I've heard from last season, he's not in my thoughts.
Yeah, for me, definitely not. I know I've mentioned that I need to forget about last season, but he burnt me so hard that I honestly can't see me owning him this season unless he becomes like vital. Like say, Van Nistelrooy misses out and suddenly Henry is hauling, then I'll have to bring him in. But other than that, no chance. Question in from Adam English. Do you have any wildcard plans in ChampMan? And if so, when and why?
No idea when, to be honest. I'm still feeling my way into the game, and it's going okay so far. I'm actually above Matt, which I didn't expect, largely thanks to Ian Hart. But yeah, I'm relatively happy with my team. I've got 2 free transfers, so I think I'm going to be cautious. I think newer players should maybe just wait and see where the land lies.
Yeah, because we've already seen quite a few chips used. I mean, the guys give the stats on the streams every week, and it does surprise me. Although I think we did see a triple captain for Ian Hart last week, so fair play to who that was. For me, I'm honestly not sure about wildcarding just yet. I wildcarded far too early last season, not realising just how much things can change in terms of fixtures, obviously with the cup games. And we even had the one weird week where a game got postponed or moved because of, the TV fixtures or something. So for me, I want to hold for a little longer until I know a bit more about bigger blanks and doubles. And the fact that the guys have given 2 free hits this season, which, fair play to them, they didn't have to do that. It was just the one last season. But I think that will also help, if you're struggling for a decent team, you've got those 2 options there now rather than the 1. So wildcards, for me, probably hold a little bit longer. Final question in from Benjo BD. Captaincy options for game week 5. Double game week 5, that is. Thinking of going Hippier. Minimum 6 points if he is fit. Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines, mate, to be honest. I'm thinking potentially going both Hippier and Hencho for the Liverpool. Fowler is a risk, and obviously you've got Owen, but he's got injury problems, potential rotation risk there between the 2 of them. It might be worth going for the more nailed asset, and I think, you could potentially be onto a decent points haul if you go Hippier, gets at least 1 clean sheet and could even get an attacking return.
Yeah, agree for me. Hippier is a great shout. May even pop up with a goal. You just never know over the course of 2 games. Obviously, you've got that certainty that he's more likely to play than the likes of Fowler. So I think that's a very good option. Benja Beattie.
Yeah, and I think just quickly touching on Liverpool there, it's maybe even worth bringing them in, from next week rather than waiting until game week 5, because I think they've got quite a good fixture next week anyway. So if you don't want to take too big a hit for the double game week, maybe start planning a little bit earlier. Yeah, that's my tip for ChampMan. Oh, I think we've pushed just over an hour there, mate, as we always do when there's game weeks to review. But it's been thoroughly enjoyable. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that, has been listening and responding and, pushing our pod. The last episode was actually our most listened. So thank you very much. That brought a brilliant smile to, I think, both of our faces. We were chatting about it when it hit, didn't we, mate?
Yeah, we certainly were. Very glad to see our last episode and those listens trickling through for our earlier episodes as well. So it looks like you're binging us. So keep it up and keep asking those questions.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, we even had a few listens for our very first episode, which was 16 weeks ago now. It feels crazy, doesn't it? But yeah, I think that's everything for the show. Good luck for the game week, and obviously ChampMan on Thursday and then FPL and Sky at the weekend. It's a bye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.